Frankie from Flatbush coming at you with a spontaneous live stream after day 3 of training camp. The New York Jets are in training camp and they're doing all of the training camp things. Justin Fields has returned. We got to breathe a sigh of relief because of Justin Fields returning. And so I thought I would do a live stream. I was going to do a video, but then I was thinking perhaps people might enjoy a live stream more than a video. We'll see if that turns out to be the case. Todd is here. Todd, can you hear me? Audio check 1 2. Audio check 1 2 for Todd. Go for Todd. Oops. Let me know. I'm pretty good, Todd. It's the end of the week. We got through it, buddy. Justin Fields has returned and escaped major injury. So we got to be thankful for the little things, Todd. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I got some audio stuff going on here. By next week, I think I will have a new audio setup here that'll be much better than this headset. Picture and audio is good. Okay, good. So by next week, I think I'll have a more professional setup where I'll actually have a high quality microphone like the one I have over here. Why don't you just use that one, Frankie? Well, um, what I'm going to try to do is keep that little part of the office separate for audiobook recordings and then have this be the place where I do the live streams and the videos and all that. And so instead of setting up the microphone, moving it over here, I'm just going to get a whole different setup for over here. Phil Adams from Beyond the Pond. Yeah, we did. I did a spontaneous one, Phil. I was like, I was going to do a video. And then I said, you know what? Let's go live. Well, why not? Let's see what the hell's going on over here with people on a Friday night. Why not? The work week is over. We got through it. Had a big presentation today. Uh, you know, high pressure situation. No problem for old Francorino. Um, Knocked it out of the park. So I said, I'm preparing this video. We got a lot to talk about. And I was like, well, why don't I just go live? You know, why not? Let's see who's available on a Friday evening. And so far, the answer to that question is a whole 6 people, according to what I see on my screen. So maybe not the best decision by old Frankie. But we'll see if that number grows when you do a spontaneous live stream without telling anybody or giving any notice. It gets a little dicey. How are people supposed to know you're going to go live? So we'll see if anybody actually shows up other than Todd and old Phil Adams. We got Phil Adams over here. We got Todd. That's all we need in the Frankie fam, really. Let's be honest. That's all we really need in the Frankie fam. Anybody else is just gravy. It's just gravy. So next week, I think I'll have a more professional setup. And so that's good news. Justin Fields is back. Todd says he was not worried. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Todd. I have faith in Tyrod as well. I really like Tyrod a lot, actually, probably more than most people. And I was thinking, well, if this is something serious, it's not great because this year really is the year of evaluating Justin Fields for us. I mean, so if we were in a Super Bowl window or something like that, and then you needed Taylor to come, and then you're worried, then you're happy because he can help you win ball games, and you're in your Super Bowl. Well, we're not in the Super Bowl window. We're not. We're not even necessarily in a playoff window. Playoffs, playoffs. So the bad thing would be this whole year is supposed to be about evaluating Justin Fields for him being the franchise quarterback potentially, if he can be. And so if he goes down with injury, it's like, yeah, Tyrod will do a good job and you might win some ball games with Tyrod, but Tyrod's too old to be the franchise quarterback. So we need to find out about Justin. And so Yeah, Tyrod, in terms of like keeping the train rolling and being able to evaluate, our offensive line and other young players that we're going to need in the future. Yeah, that would be a positive because if you have a disaster at quarterback because of injury, like has happened in the past, then you have a harder time evaluating your offensive line, your defense, if you're always putting the defense in a bad position, and your tight ends and your wide receivers and everybody else. So much is um, revolves around the quarterback position that from that perspective you'd say, okay, good thing we have Tyrod because just basically evaluating these young fellas, you want to evaluate them on a fair, in a fair situation, on fair grounds, without playing the game with a very subpar quarterback who is such an important player on any field, of course. So yeah, but I have faith in him too. I have faith in him too. I mean, the way to think about it is if we're somehow, somehow, some way, Justin's playing great. Whew, offensive line's playing great. Whew, and let's say we're somehow in contention for the playoffs. Playoffs. Uh, at the toward the end of the year, and then Fields gets hurt. Then you go, oh, good thing we have Tyrod because we really would, I think, want to make the playoffs and get off the schneid. And if you had if you had like 11 or 12 games where Justin is playing fantastic, he takes another step up like he looked like he was going to do last year with Pittsburgh before they pulled him. Um, and you're going, oh, we got it. We got the guy. This guy, he going to be the guy. Uh, then you go, okay, we got our guy, and now we're going to the playoffs. Ooh, you know, this is like wet dream territory for the Jets and the Jet fan. Uh, but then Jet luck, of course. Then let's say Fields gets hurt after game 12 or 13 or something, and you go, oh no, there goes our playoff dreams. Well, not necessarily because we have Tyrod. So I like Tyrod on a lot of levels. I'm really glad he's on the team. He's also an amazing person. Everybody who comes into contact with Tyrod Taylor says what an incredible human being he is, and so that is also a positive from the locker room perspective. Also teaching people things perspective and all of that. So I really like Tyrod. I'm a Tyrod fan, and I think he could. I think he can play well. But we really need to find out about Justin. That's what we need. Either yes or no. Either way, either way, we got a way to go. For next year and for the future. Phil Adams, we're in a ghetto window, not a Super Bowl window, looking out at everybody else. Yeah, we're in the ghetto. We're in a trailer park. Phil Adams, do they have trailer parks in England? Is that a thing, or is that totally American? Trailer parks. You know what a trailer park is, Phil Adams? Let's see if they have trailer parks in England. I don't know. I'm not exactly an international man of mystery. Todd, any given Sunday, if the penalties get taken care of, I think we'll have as good a chance as most teams. I predict 10 victories. Well, it's possible. It is possible, Todd. I'm going to show you something about penalties. You guys are going to lose your freaking minds. Telling you, I'm going to show you something in this show that was going to be in a video, but I'll just do it in this show. Live about the penalties. It's going to blow your minds. You're not going to believe me. You're going to be throwing tomatoes at me, believe me. But the numbers are the numbers. Jet 41 is here. Hello, Jet 41. Bill Adams talking about the penalties. What about the zebras on the site to help reduce the penalty count? Well, this is what the media picked up on today. Let's move this window over here. This is the sort of thing that nobody will tell you except Frankie. Phil Adams, you're not going to, what I'm about to show you, you're not going to get it anywhere else other than this channel right here. Now, I'm going to start out by saying, of course, you want to avoid penalties. Penalty avoidance is important. There are different types of penalties, of course. But overall, you do want to avoid penalties when you can and if you can. So hopefully, having the refs there does some good. My understanding is they were not there the last 2 years because bum 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 because Woody Johnson was uh, had a small cash budget for Joe Douglas, which goes exactly to my theories about what happened to Joe Douglas. It was Woody Johnson's fault again with that scumbag. He said he said he gave him a small budget, and they said let's have referees here. We have too many penalties. He said no, we can't afford it. So let's all just hope that Woody has learned his freaking lesson. Let's hope so, man, because that is terrible. I mean, he is a terrible owner. You can't have referees at practice because they cost too much. Excuse me, so bad. And meanwhile, he's one of the richest people on earth. This fucker. But but let's hope he's learned his lesson. Look, he's done a lot of things this offseason that you got to say was good. We redid the locker room. Did you guys see that? Did you see that? We completely redid the locker room. We completely redid all the staffs. We now have a data analytics crew that's above average in the NFL in terms of size. We hired the psychology person. We hired the player development people. So maybe Woody is turning a new leaf. Let's hope and pray. Otherwise, it's just going to be very, very difficult to be a Jet fan for a very long time. But let's examine. Oh, Phil says yes. They're called caravan parks. Oh, we've got some caravan parks over here. Oh, mainly used for vacations to the coast. Oh, well, we have trailer parks that people live there, Phil, like live there 24/7. So, like in the ghetto, you may have a few trailer park, you know, locations. And the trailer parks are, parks of trailers, is what it is. And, groups of trailers, folks living there. And they're sort of thought of as like the lowest kind of housing that you can get in America. Caravan parks. Well, we should call them something different because this sounds a lot better. The trailer park, caravan park. Let's go over to the caravan park, shall we, dear? Oh, will we have some tea? I believe so. Uh, I have work to do, says Todd. I'll have you on the Bluetooth, so I'll be listening. All right, Todd, keep that farm going. Todd's a farmer, everybody. So if you ate food today, thank a farmer. Thank Todd for bringing you all the food that's fit to eat. Gotta love farmers and ranchers, man. They're the best. Just like Todd. Good old Todd. So here's the deal with the penalties, though. Now I'm going to give you information that nobody else is going to give you because it annoys me to hear these platitudes being spoken about, and people don't know what they're talking about. Now, before I show you this, I want to be clear. It's best if we don't have any penalties. It's better if we don't commit any penalties at all, and the fewer the penalties, the better. But here's the reality. Down, bow, bow. Let's see if I can get this to work. Down, bow, bow. Here's all the penalties right here. They keep track of them. Yeah. And were we the worst last year? We absolutely were. Look at that. And this is 2024 penalties per play because you could do it per game or per play. I have it broken down here per play because there's not a standard number of plays in a game. So you got to break it down that way. Even that way, the Jets were the worst. Okay, make this bigger. The Jets were the worst. No good. Tennessee, second worst. Uh, they weren't very good. But look who's next. Baltimore, one of the best teams in the league, third. Then Dallas. Houston was a playoff team. Seattle was almost a playoff team, I believe. Cleveland was bad. Carolina bad. Green Bay playoff team. Miami almost playoff team. San Francisco missed the playoffs, New England. So there's no rhyme or reason there's no correlation, put it this way. There's no correlation, there's no statistical correlation between penalties and, say, wins or making the playoffs. Well, that was just one year. What about 2023? Let's take a look. Again, the Jets were the worst, but so that's certainly an area of concern. But look, then the next was Dallas. That was a 12-win team. Then Houston. That was a playoff team. Tennessee was bad. Seattle, I think, definitely made the playoffs that year. Cleveland was bad. Carolina bad. Buffalo, one of the best teams in the league. Green Bay, playoff team. So, and San Francisco was good this year. So there's just no correlation between penalties and wins. There just isn't. Now, why would that be? You would think that the more penalties you have, the previous year, Arizona's up here, Vegas, Tennessee, Miami, playoff team, Denver. You would think that the more penalties you have, the worse you would be as a team. And that's just not true. What I think about this is that the good teams just overcome their penalties because they're better. They're good. They have the best players. So this is something that no one will tell you. They'll all say, "Oh yeah, reduce your penalties. That'll make you better." Now there are different types of penalties. And Aaron Glenn talked about that today. There's things like pre-snap penalties. Those are the worst. If you're offsides, if you do false starts, the things where you just screw up mentally. Those are very bad. You want to eliminate those at all times. But PIs and things like that, where it could go either way, holding calls, which could go any which way on any given play. They're not good. You'd rather not have them, but a holding call, you're going to get so upset unless it's egregious and just completely stupid. But for the most part, theirs are like 50-50. They could call it, they could not call it. PIs, they could call it, they could not call it. Sometimes they call it, same play. The next time they don't call it. But what you want to do is eliminate the mental errors, basically, if you can. But like I said, it's not good to have penalties, but the facts are, and the data tells us, there's no correlation to number of penalties and wins and losses or making the playoffs or anything. There's just no correlation. And I think it's because, you guys ever watch a game and you're like, well, this team gets called for a penalty and they have a really good team like the Chiefs or the Bills or something. And you're not really worried that it's going to affect them too much. But when you watch the Jets and there's a 5-yard penalty and then knocks us back, we're like, oh no, it's like the world has come to an end. And that's the difference because we just don't have the players to overcome, things like that. Do you ever think Josh Allen's not going to make a first down? Lamar Jackson? I mean, I always think they're going to make every time they don't make a first down, I'm surprised, So that's just the way it is. I know that burst the bubble. Burst the bubble. Well, the accountability thing is really interesting to me. And I do think accountability matters. But if you think about what Glenn said about accountability, first you have to tell the player what you're holding them accountable to. Everybody talks about accountability, accountability. Every team will talk about it. But Glenn goes, well, what is accountability? Well, you can't hold a player accountable unless you tell him ahead of time and he agrees to it what they're going to be held accountable to. That's pretty smart in my opinion. For example, like, Sauce and Garrett and Quinnen and Quincy are expected to be leaders on this team, for example. And Justin, excuse me. Braylon Allen, not so much. Isaiah Davis, we don't count on you to be a leader. So different players have different things that they get held accountable for based on where they are in the pecking order and what their role is and so forth and so on. So I do think that that's going to be an important thing for the team, and it'll be an improvement from Salah and Albrecht, who didn't hold anybody accountable for anything. Will it reflect on the penalties? I don't know. I think it'd be nice if we weren't at the top of the list for, for the third straight year. That'd be a nice thing, but it doesn't necessarily translate into more wins. But it certainly couldn't hurt to do better with penalties. It certainly couldn't hurt. That much we know. And if we could eliminate the dumb penalties, like the egregious roughing the passer, where our guy takes 3 steps and then hits a dude, the Michael Clemens special. If we could avoid those, that'd be nice. And all of the other mental errors like false starts and offsides and things of that nature. Pre-snap, they call them pre-snap penalties. That would be nice. But you're never going to eliminate all the PIs and all the holding and all that. So Mike is here. Yeah, I was going to do a video, Joe, and I just said, kind of feel like going live. Why not? Why not go live with all of the Frankie fam on a Friday night? Hang out with the fam. Joe, drink a little water. You know, and shoot the breeze about the Jets. Why not? It's all is like our guys never commit any penalties, and they're never injured. And yeah, Mackay Becton blew out his knee. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry, everybody. Oh, this guy had his head taken off. He'll be back in a week. No problem. Uh, Penalties? Well, come on. There's no penalties. What are you talking about? These guys are perfect. If I say they're committing too many penalties, that means they're not perfect. If they're not perfect, how can they play on my team? I might be expected to coach them. That's the thing about Salah. Really, he's really a coward when you think about it. He wants elite play. For his defense to work, he needs elite players everywhere. If you need elite players everywhere for your system to work, you have a bad system, number one. And number two, what do I need you for as a coach? You know what I mean? I could coach elite players and they'll play very well. I got a news break for you. Put Coach Frankie on the sideline, at 20% of the cost of a Salah. Sure, I'm not as good looking and I'm not as tall and my muscles aren't as large, but nonetheless, if what you need is all elite players everywhere for your system to work, well, what do we need you for? Like coaching is taking a guy who can't do something or figuring out a guy with a limited skill set but can do something. How can we use him? Uh, that's coaching and figuring out guys who can do it but are not yet doing it, figuring out why that is, and then actually coaching them up to get them to the place where they need to be. That's coaching. Not just saying, oh, we got these elite players. I'm going to be the cheerleader on the sidelines and cheer them on, which is what he does. To me, that's not coaching. That's cheerleading. But he does a nice job of it, and he is quite tall and handsome. So there is that. And he does have large muscles. So, that's good. Let's give him $10 million. Phil Adams, how long before I would sign Nick Folk today? I mean, Nick Folk is out there. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Nick Folk and his agents apparently put out a video. Well, not apparently, they did put out a video of him kicking 56, 50-yarder, 56-yarder, 58-yarder, boom, right through the middle, and saying he's healthy now, and he had an injury and the last year, and he wants to play, I guess, for another year. And the man was the most accurate kicker in the league the last 2 years when he was playing. So I would sign him today. I wouldn't mess around with these two young guys if they can't do it, and if they're kicking the ball all over the damn place. Get a guy who's reliable. This is the thing I don't really like about special teams coaches. They'll always talk about leg talent. This man has so much leg talent. You know what I want out of a kicker? I want him to kick a high percentage of field goals. That's it. I don't care about his leg talent. Kick the ball through the uprights. We went through this when we had Eddie Pinheiro. Remember, we had a bunch of bums, and then Pinheiro comes in here. He looked good, and he was accurate, but he couldn't make the 61 yarder or the 65 yarder. He's not going to make that one. But anything 50 and in, he was solid gold. And we didn't keep him. We had to get somebody else in here. I think that's when we got Zerline, and he was okay for a season or two. Then he went off the rails. I mean, just get the guy who kicks a high percentage of field goals through the uprights. That's what we need. And if you need somebody to do kickoffs, find a punter who can do kickoffs and make it go out of the end zone, which is the other thing they're worried about. That's really all we need. So I would go get 40-year-old Nick Folk. I don't care how old he is. He's old, so he's a kicker. Who cares? As long as he kicks it through the damn uprights, who cares how old he is? What is his leg going to fall off? So we'll see. They had a, yes, apparently yesterday they had a bad day. These kickers today there was no. Apparently there wasn't much kicking going on. Eddie Dinero. Yeah, he was money. Right, Hawk. Why did we go away from him? Oh, he didn't have the leg talent. Just give me. I wish a special teams coach would just, like, if a guy in college makes a high percentage of field goals, especially 50 yards and in, the chip shot ones, generally speaking, like, just take him. What? There's very little chance a guy with a terrible field goal percentage or not great, like in the 70s, is going to all of a sudden become a guy who's like 85% and better in the pros. It's essentially the same task. Like, that's one thing. I mean, I guess it's a little different because there's faster guys that might block it, but essentially the task is essentially the exact same in college and pros. What's different? You go through your stance, you approach the ball, then you kick it. And yeah, they might. I mean, if you're too low or something, maybe the guys are taller in the NFL. I don't know. But as long as you have a decent trajectory and you do a high percentage in the college ranks, you're probably going to be able to do high percentage in the pro ranks. So just get that guy. Don't overcomplicate it. But these special teams coaches, I don't know. And hopefully, maybe Chris Banjo will be better. I don't know. Our special teams coach is Chris Banjo. Mike Westhoff is coming in here at some point in time. It was reported to help him out because this is one of his pupils, uh, I guess from Denver days or New Orleans, or I don't know, so somewhere. So Westhoff's going to be back, and we all love and know and love Coach Westhoff, of course. And so maybe he'll go to Banjo and be like, just get a guy with a high percentage of field goals made. What are we doing? That's all you need. And if he can't do the kickoffs, then get a punter who can do the kickoff. There's plenty of those guys who do that. So I don't know, man. But we can't judge it on one bad day. Maybe something happened. Maybe something happened with the snap. Nobody talks about this. They say Caden Davis just missed one really bad. Well, what if it was a terrible snap or something, and maybe the laces were in? It's gonna be, we don't know why he missed it. And they don't know either because they're very far away from the field, but they still feel like they can report on these things. So Todd says kicking field goals not that difficult. Well, yeah, maybe you have a talent, Todd. I don't think I could do it. I remember when I was a kid, we would try to do it. I wasn't good at it, but apparently it is because otherwise you'd have lots of these guys around who could do it at a high level. Well, maybe you should try out for the Jets, Todd. I mean, a 50-year-old kicker. Joe Mike, we cannot go into the season. Well, we're going to have, well, we might have. The punters, they haven't said anything about. We probably will have a rookie punter. If they like these guys, one of them can be put on P squad. Yeah. I mean, you'd love to have a solid field goal kicker. Everybody knows that. I would just go get Nick Folk. Like, why overthink it? The guy was the highest percentage kicker in the league the last 2 years, and he's healthy and wants to play. And they have videos of him kicking 58 yarders. I mean, what's the problem? What's the problem? Like, just go sign him, and we'll figure out next year. Like, why is it so hard for these people to go? Oh, here's a high percentage field goal kicker. Let's sign him for minimum money and get him back and get him here. I don't understand it, but maybe they will. I think it was Dano who mentioned on another show. Well, we don't know, Hawk. They might not be on the they might not be on the roster. They might be on the roster. We don't know. How does Dano know? Is he watching the punters? You could say stuff all day long, but you know you It's actually good to have some evidence or proof or reasoning. Jet's Chaos Jeremy's here. He says, recap. I don't know what this means. Recap. Jeremy, well, I think we should ask Jeremy, has he had his second eyeball surgery yet? Or did he just have the one eyeball surgery only? Isn't that the relevant? Weren't you going for the laser eye surgery, Jeremy? Man, I should probably go for laser eye surgery. And if so, how's it doing? Are you? Can you see at nighttime? Is there any problems? Do you see rings around lights? Something? Joe Mike, according to reports today, punter. Oh, reports from who, Joe? I didn't see that. And I look at all the people, so I got to know who was the reporter. Lots of shanking. Oh boy. But I have all the main beat reporters on a list, Joe. So none of them were talking about it. That's Rosenblatt, Hughes, Chimney, all them people. Uh, so let me know who's reporting that, Joe, because I'd like to see it. And if this is true, then that is no bueno. But I'm sure there's punters out there we could find. There's always a punter you can get on the open market. Not too hard to find them, but it'd be nice if one of these young fellas would just be good. That would be annoying to me because then it's just like, do we not know how to scout kickers now? I mean punters. It's hang time. Like, why is it so hard? Kickers, it's percentage of field goals made. Punters, it's hang time. Why is it so difficult? I don't get it. Sean McAteer is here. What's up, everybody? Thanks for always putting out good content. Well, you're welcome. Jeremy says, yes, both eyes good. Hey, so Jeremy can see now without glasses, apparently, everybody. That's great news. Would you recommend laser eye surgery for other people? Go in there and they stick lasers in your eyes with flaming hot needles. I don't know. I don't know what they do. But maybe we should all of us glasses people, maybe we should all get the laser eye surgery. Uh, Todd, I grew up with a football field for a front yard. Well, that's a big front yard. One end had a goal post. My dad let all the local kids use it. So yes, I had lots of opportunity. Well, you know what I had, Todd? I had the PS 207 schoolyard. That's what I had because back in the 70s, my friend, they didn't chain up the schoolyards in Brooklyn. I'll tell you that much. They didn't chain them up. They chain them up now, my understanding. They didn't chain them up back then. So if you lived across the street like old Frankie, you could go right in there any time, day or night, summertime, and do whatever you want. And we did everything, including, we didn't have a goalpost, but we had a fence, and we could imagine and so we tried it, and it wasn't that good. I wasn't that good. Tell you that much. Jets guess is 2020. Just need glasses for reading. Well, I guess that's better, right? Is that what you were? I guess that's what they were trying to fix. Your far-sighted part. Well, I guess that's more normal. I guess that's better, right? You walk around without the glasses. Then when you start reading, you need the what do they call them? Cheaters. Yeah, you got the cheaters. Yeah, you got the cheaters. Cataracts surgery, huge success. Okay, so not everybody who's needs glasses has cataracts, I guess. How did you get cataracts? Something you ate? That'd be something. You know, you shouldn't be whatever Jeremy ate to get cataracts. I think we should. I think. I think we should identify too much hot sauce. That's what it was, Jeremy. You ate all that hot sauce, and then you got cataracts. And then they had to go in and surgically remove the cataracts, and now you're cataract free, whatever a cataract is. So, I think everybody should be careful with the amount of hot sauce that they consume. You know, you got people over here eating hot sauce left, right, and center. And then all of a sudden, Jeremy got cataracts. I mean, how do you counteract the cataracts? Well, you got to have the surgery. And thank goodness it was successful. But you never know with surgery. You know, I mean, for God's sakes. Sean McIntyre, do you think we will get an edge in the offseason, or do you think we'll pick up Noah Fant? It seems like we won't pick up Noah Fant. There's no reporting that he's visiting us or anything like that. So I think they're pretty well set on the offense now. That as in their minds, in the AG and the staff. Now defense, I would sign Zadarius Smith today. I would sign Zadarius Smith and Jadeveon Clowney today, both of them, if it was me. And I've been saying this for a long time. But we're not getting any news or any kind of information out of the Jets or any kind of rumors or anything. So I would, we're weak there. I would also sign a defensive tackle, as I've been talking about. Although I did a video about the defense, and now I think it's probably less needed. But still, we still need edge players. I would have signed Julian Blackman, but then he got signed by the Saints when Honey Badger retired. So I would have looked at that player. But I mean, we have $30 million in cap space, and they seem like they don't want to spend any of it. So I don't know what to tell you. And it's a new regime, so I don't exactly know. There's no trends, or other than they seem to be very good at doing the obvious things, which is not a small thing. We should be thankful they're getting the big things correct. The big things this offseason were Fields and Sherwood getting re-signed or getting signed and re-signed. Drafting the first couple of rounds, getting those right, and then signing Garrett and Sauce. Those were the big items. And we'll see about their big gamble on Stevens. So far, he's getting some good publicity and camp from the beat reporters. They're saying he's playing well. Okay, so maybe they were right about that. That'd be fantastic. But some of the other things, the sort of middle, second and third tier free agency, the middle and end of the draft, a little shaky. So Muji should have his staff in place now, though, and so you could say, well, Muji didn't even have his staff in place, so how can you blame him, for not making great moves on the margins, so to speak? Okay, but now he's got his staff in place. We got Bird Sherrill in place. Did you know we got a scout named Bird? We do, and and all these folks. Got all the folks now. I believe they're all in place. So, what's the excuse now? I don't know. Does Robbie Sabo? Well, I've not heard that from Robbie Sabo. So I've been following him pretty close. I have not seen that from Sabo, but doesn't mean it's not true. I just haven't seen it from Sabo. Connor Long. Connor Long is like 10 years old, so let's probably pump the brakes on Connor Long. His 10-year-old eyes probably don't know what's going on. Well, it wasn't exactly voluntary. I had cataract. Oh, yeah. So you had to do it. But how did you get the cataracts? That's what we need to know. If I was able to see 2020, I would not have had surgery. I see. So this, I guess we're saying uh, we're not going to recommend it to other people necessarily, unless you have cataracts, I guess. Phil Adams, my wife had her eyes done. Now she can see what an ugly husband she's married to. Same deal at PS213. Says, hey, karate. 718. 718 is the old area code of Brooklyn. Yeah. Well, it was all the public schools karate. And you could it was like heaven for kid, for a kid who, played whatever sport, whatever season it was. We were out there playing it: baseball, stickball, foot two hand touch football. If it snowed, tackle football. And games we've made up. First and third. We made up tons of games: handball, paddle ball, any kind of ball. We just playing it, man. Nerf. Remember the Nerf football? Cataracts is usually very old people. I was a rare case. may have been the hot sauce. There you go. It's the hot sauce. Dr. Frankie in the house. It was the hot sauce, everybody. Dr. Frankie did a diagnosis. You know, you don't run around chewing down hot sauce and expect there to be no repercussions. I mean, here's Jeremy. He's a young fella and he gets an old person thing. Well, there has to be a reason. I mean, unless you just were hanging around with a lot of old people, Jeremy, and you caught it from them. Otherwise, I say it was the hot sauce. You got to sometimes you got to avoid those old people. Sometimes. Bill Adams, it's putting the hot sauce in your eyes. Maybe that's what he did. I mean, we don't know what these people were doing when the cameras were off. Don't forget, it was Jeremy and his brothers. It was the Jeremy brothers. What did you call it? The Brooklyn brothers? He had the brothers, and maybe they were all squirting it in their eyes when the camera was off, like a bunch of crazy people. We don't know what they were doing. I mean, you never know. McAteer, I like that idea. Bulk up that D. Yeah, but so far they haven't. Sean, and these people have been available this whole time. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm worried about it. On the other hand, we should give AG and Wilkes a chance and see what they do. I mean, they're the ones running this defense, and they both are well-regarded defensive minds. So we should give them the benefit of the doubt until we actually see something. And then when they when they run all over us for 250 yards a game, then we criticize McAteer. So chaos was PS 2676 in Canasi. Yeah, exactly. Karate schematic fluidity. Yeah, exactly right. So that's what Coach A said, match quarters about Glenn's defense last year with the Lions. We assume it's going to be the same this year. You would think he's going to do something similar. Schematic fluidity, and let's hope so. And if they're able to, I would put it this way, Karate and everybody else. If we have a really good defense with this personnel, on the roster, wow, do we have good coaches? You know what I mean? Like then you just go, all right, we got some good ones. We got some good ones here because imagine what they could do with actually good players. EC is here, the latest resident of the state of Florida, the great state of Florida, where we have installed alligator Alcatraz. You don't want to go there. No, sirree, Bob. Uh, but Eric Craig, recent mover to the state of Florida. So welcome in to the land of sunshine, alligators, and mosquitoes the size of beaches. Eric says, hey, sack the like button. Show some love, Frankie fam. Yeah, Frankie fam, click the like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Why not? Jits Chaos says, yeah, it was Connor Long. All right, so we'll have to get other confirmation other than a 10-year-old person. But that's not good either because Connor Long really does. He goes to he kind of knows what he's talking about. He goes to the practices and so forth and so on. So, despite his young age, he might know a thing or two. So that's not good, and it's not good for old Chris Banjo. We thought we had a great young coach in here, Banjo. If these kickers are going to ruin his career here. I mean, this is a young special teams coach that's just getting started. If the kickers can't kick straight and the punters are shanking all over the place, it's not going to make Chris Banjo look very good because he would have signed off on getting these players here. I'm pretty sure Muji didn't just sign them without any feedback from the special teams coach and also Aaron Glenn, of course. Well, but then again, Like it's easily fixable. Just sign Nick Folk and sign some average kick punter that you can find at any given point in time. Does the fan ranking get assigned? Yeah, volume of text and also super chats. You go higher in the ranks with super chats, and nobody's really figured out the game. If you want to go up in the ranks, you got to give super chats, people. I mean, let's go. You could think of a super chat as like a tariff, you know. If you want to get in good in a country of Frankie from Flatbush, you got to give super chats. You got to pay a little extra do re mi. Joe Mike, we played in the schoolyard until my father would come home from work. He would pass by schoolyard on the way home from train, and we knew it was time to go home. Those were the days back in Brooklyn. Yeah, that wasn't my deal. I could play all. I had no restriction. My parents were very lenient with me, but then again, I was very responsible. But and also, I think I was very tired because from the time I got up to the time I went to sleep, I was running around like a maniac playing whatever it was that day. You know what I mean? Like there was no rest periods. There was no, I don't even think we stopped for lunch. We just played everything. Those were the days, man. And if people weren't around, you got a ball and you played with yourself. You just throw, just pitch it against the wall or something. Like one of those when you had one of those pinky balls or like a blue one of those blue ones, or we used tennis balls. And when we played stick ball, and of course, I am the founder of the Flatbush Flyers Stickball Club, as we see on the bottom here. That's pretty small though. Founder, Flatbush Flyers. The Flatbush Flyers were a team in the United States Stickball League. Did you guys know that? And the league had its standings published in the New York Daily News. And we were 17 years old. And the way we played, it was fast pitch stickball. And what we did was we took a tennis ball and we burned all the fuzz off the tennis ball with fire because playing with fire is cool. And so you burn down the tennis ball, and now you could throw it really fast. You could curve it. You could slide it. You could do split finger with a tennis ball. It was fantastic, and we were really good. Uh, Jeremy says, "Doubt we are signing anyone significant. We are not at that stage." I mean, the thing about it is this team could actually be sneaky good, Jeremy. That's the thing that worries me. It's like this team could be sneaky good if I mean, there's a lot of things that would have to work in our favor. The offensive line would have to be really good. Justin would have to take the next step up, and we don't know if that's going to happen. But if those two things happen and the defense could just be average, we could surprise some people. Not saying we're going to the Super Bowl or anything, but and then wouldn't it be wouldn't it be sad if like we were one or two defensive ends away from making the playoffs and we just refused to sign them because we wanted to play Eric Watts or freaking Rashad Weaver? I mean, what's the point? We have the money. What are we going to do with the cap space, Jeremy? We're just going to fold it over to next year? Who cares? And plus, you can't even transfer that much over anyway. There's only a certain amount you can move over from one year to the next. So what's the point? We have 30 million in cap space. Why wouldn't you spend 8 or 9 on Zadarius Smith so you can play who? Rashad Weaver? I mean, he stinks. What's the point of that? I mean, don't you think that Aaron Glenn would love to have like a winning season, like a 9-win season his first year off the bat? This fan base? I mean, these people really have to try to understand the fan base a little bit better. Ah, he says it's easy to see bad kicks even if you're a teenager. Yeah, but he might be seeing them upside down. Maybe he's looking at his phone. These kids these days, they're on their phone. Maybe he's getting confused. We don't know. McAteer says Fields was there. Yes. Well, yeah, he didn't practice, but he was jogging, looked like he was fine, which was actually quite surprising. I thought he was going to be out a minimum 10 to 14 days. If we had a game today, probably would have played. But they'll probably keep him out a few days, as a precaution. But he was, you saw him out there jogging, so it wasn't limping at all. Hey, karate, yeah. There's a new feature out for those who missed it called Origins, and there's going to be four of them. The first one was on Will McDonald. He has an incredible story. Was that incredible, karate? Uh, yeah, incredible story. This kid, I mean, hey, he's the type of guy you root for. I'll put it that way. I'm rooting for Will McDonald to get better. If he can become strong enough to hold the edge and have a bull rush, that kid could be a beast. And he's heavier now, so we'll see how he does. He's got a shot. He's got a shot. Phil Adams, the story of the Flatbush Flyers needs to be a movie. Yeah, yeah, I think so. And you know what the title of the movie would be? Well, you want to know what the title of the movie? Let's call it a documentary about the Flatbush Flyers. You know what it'd be called? It'd be called "You Root for Brooklyn." And the reason it would be called that is because we were constantly fighting with these older dudes. We were 17-year-old kids, skinny, you know, and there were these old fatsos, and things who were in the league. And here come these 17-year-old tall, skinny, good looking dudes. We were back then, not that we are now, but uh and we were constantly getting in fights with them because they were just jealous of us because we were better than them and we were young and dynamic. And then we got to the playoffs and uh we got to the playoffs our first year and then we lost in the first round of the playoffs. That's an exciting story. I lost us the game I was pitching. But then we're sitting there and it's like a round robin tournament, right? So there's all these games that go on afterward, right? You're out now, the next team's in, blah blah blah. And then we were talking to this team about who are we going to root for. And we go, we're going to root for this team from Queens or something. We're going to root for them. And they got up in our face and they go, "You root for Brooklyn." And we were like, no, we'll root for whoever the hell we want. They didn't like that too much. So there was some fights that went on. It can be a violent place. Sometimes. In the world of Brooklyn and Queens and New York City, sometimes it could get a little violent, but that's okay. We took care of business. Uh, Jeremy said if we ended up 4-2, but yeah, I guess that's a way to look at it. Like see how the season goes, and then you say make a move. I mean, you know, if you wait till then, it's no guarantee that anybody's available that you want. Zadarius Smith is sitting right there. Why? We have the money. He's right there. We got to wait for a trade. Who's who? There's no guarantee somebody's going to trade with us, and there's going to be somebody available that we want. When you have the player sitting right there, and not only that, now if you make a trade, you got to give up draft capital, which we should not do under any circumstances. I'm coming around to this opinion that the draft picks now are going to be so much more valuable. Why? Because how many retirements have we seen this offseason? We've seen so many dudes retire this offseason. And I think that's going to become more and more of a trend as these guys make tons and tons of money, including from NIL coming in from college. They're not going to want to have long, long careers. They're going to make the amount of money they want to make and go, I'm out. So, that being the case, you better draft and develop your own and sign them to at least one contract. And then, you got them for a decent amount of time. And there you go. So, I think as we move forward, it's going to be uh, very, very important to hold on to your draft picks and get additional draft picks through through the comp pick formula. Which, by the way, we threw one of those away when we signed Brandon Stevens. We threw away a fourth round pick to get our hands on Brandon Stevens, a man who has never learned to turn his head around. But uh, so why would you do all that when you could just go sign the guy now? He doesn't want to come here, Frankie. I mean, where's he going to go? He played for Coach Glenn last year. You could kind of sell him on, we're a team on the come up, and Glenn's going to have us flying around, like everybody says. It's another term. They're going to be flying around. What the hell does that mean? Going to be flying around. What is this? The Jetsons? JoJo's here. JoJo was a man from Tucson, Arizona. Get back, JoJo. Oh, well, what am I, JoJo? What am I, chopped liver? You're looking forward to seeing chaos and being. How about old Frankie? What's going on here? I wouldn't argue using money we have anyway, and doesn't right 1 year contract. I'm not saying sign him to a 10-year deal. 1 year contract. Who cares? It's 8 million. We can't carry over the cap money anyway. So what are we doing? Just improve the defense. It helps everybody. It helps your evaluation of Justin Fields if you want to know the truth. If you have a terrible defense, that's not great for Justin Fields. Now you got to come back in games all the time. That doesn't suit his skill set. We want to be running the ball. Yeah, me too, JoJo. How about old Frankie here? Go ahead. I'm chopped liver. Come on, JoJo. What's going on? Everybody wants to praise everybody else. Nick Shine is here, everybody. Good to see Nick Shine. Kids are awful. Almost as awful as adults. Yeah, kids these days, they're playing with their phone. He's probably playing with like a Nintendo. What do they call him? A Nintendo Switch or something? Yeah, he's probably playing a video game. You know, he's probably playing Candy Crush on his phone or something. He doesn't know what's going on with the punt. He looks up. Is a punt going on? He doesn't know. Meets chaos on pride. Yeah. Well, good to hear that, Nick. Um, Something else I'm noticing with coaches across the league, there's a lot more coaches that are calling out the media. Now, I don't know if you guys are noticing this or not, but there's a lot more coaches, including our own, that's calling out the stupid media for their stupid games that they're playing. And I think this is a good sign. Now, some of the people are getting upset with old Frankie because I'm putting out videos and I'm calling out these media people and I'm using, I would say salty language sometimes to describe people. And some people are saying, Frankie, what are you doing? You shouldn't be using that language. You shouldn't be calling names. But these are people that are in the media and they're acting very badly. What do you call somebody who's doing douchebag behavior? You call them a douchebag. But now the coaches in the NFL are not not using salty language, but they are calling out the media when they act poorly. I saw Mike Vrabel do it. I saw Aaron Glenn do it today. So I think this is a trend, and I think it's a good trend. I mean, now when you go to battle against the media, you better have thick skin and you better start winning because the media has a long, long memory and they have a lot of um, persuasive power in the content that they produce. And so if you're going to do that, then they're going to get back at you. Now, Mike Vrabel is in a certain situation. Nobody's going to get back at Mike Vrabel. The man's won Super Bowls. He's a well-regarded coach from with his stint at Tennessee already. So he's already an established guy. Aaron Glenn's just getting started here. So it worries me a little bit about Glenn, but we'll see where that goes. I think more and more of these coaches are feeling emboldened to call out some of the BS behavior, some of the BS questions that they get from the media. Yeah. So AG called them out on the toe overreaction. And part of it is, who actually had a good quote about this, surprisingly, was Nick Wright. Normally one of the worst, but he said something very interesting. Uh, Here it is right here. This was actually my thought. And then I saw Nick Wright had it and I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. And this was part of it, right? here. Now, again, normally he's not great, but this is exactly right. NFL beat writers, we need more precise language. We need the difference between carted off and rode on a cart off. Carted off connotes season over. Rode a cart off is very different. And this was in response to Justin Fields' toe injury. And that is correct. This is a correct take by Nick Wright. And you got to, look, Nick Wright's not the best. He says a lot of dumb things all the time. But got to give a guy credit when he gets something right. I mean, got to call it like we see it. And that's exactly right because that's exactly what happened. A couple of our beat reporters said that Fields was carted off, and then the national media ran with carted off, carted off, carted off. And then, of course, the Jet fandom went nuts. So, but that's exactly what I was actually thinking. I was like, wait a minute, he got in the passenger seat of the cart because it was a quicker way to get to the medical people. It wasn't that he couldn't walk off the field. I mean, he was in some pain, obviously, but he got in the passenger seat of the cart because the cart could take him faster to the medical people. It wasn't that he needed to ride on the back of the cart like you see when they tear an ACL or an Achilles or something. And so this is right. And then, of course, on this show right here, these two turd burglars, Frankie, you shouldn't use language like that. These two made fun of that. This is Zach Rosenblatt, and this is who is this guy over here? Some other guy that he does the podcast with. And they were saying they were defending, of course, their own profession. They never admit wrong. They never do anything wrong. Zach Rosenblatt, 30 disgruntled voices. The Jets fire 30 people. Let's interview all 30 people who are now disgruntled against the Jets and see what they think about the Jets. That's a good article, right, Zach? No. Let's say Zach Wilson doesn't want to go into the game because he's a big scaredy cat, based on anonymous disgruntled sources. That's a good article, isn't it? No, it isn't. You're being a terrible journalist. But on this podcast right here, they made fun of your head coach, Aaron Glenn, for calling them out. And saying that that's not really accurate. They're saying we were just accurately reporting what was going on. He was carted off. He did leave on a cart. But as Nick Wright said, it's different if you're just in the passenger seat because you have to as quick as possible, get to the medical people instead of just, walking uh, and being on the back of the cart like we see with an ACL or an Achilles or something like that. But that's what you're going to get. You're going to get these people defending their profession and defending their position always. They're never going to admit mistake. Never. Not once. This guy has gotten stories wrong left, right, and center, and he still works for the Athletic. Why? I don't know. Maybe these podcasts are freaking fantastic. I mean, look at this podcast. It has 282 views on it. So, you know, I mean, that's amazing. I'm sure that this earns at least $1.67 for these people. So I guess that's good. I don't know. So that's what's going on with that. And I do think it was an overreaction. Tony Alexio is here. Good to see you, Tony. Yeah, that's another point. Who turns down a lift from a golf cart? You want to walk 300 yards with a dislocated toe, or you want to hang out on a golf cart? All right, go on a golf cart. Yeah. That's what it was, but they used the term "carted off," and then boom, it was just the national media feeds off the local, and then bada bing, bada boom, it's a big problem. And Aaron Glenn called them out on it. He said, "You guys made it worse than it needs to be." Now he also said, "Look, I'm going to tell you the information." He also said something very interesting. Yeah, this is true, but this is how the media functions. This is why we cover the media, Phil. This is why I cover the media here to try and educate people about this. It's a media thing. And if you're not aware of it, it can sweep your mind away. It can take your mind away and you lose control of your mind. Your most important asset is then controlled by others, and we don't want that. Uh, but now I lost my train of thought. Shoot. All right. Well, Phil is number one. Yeah. See, I karate says they scared the crap out of me. Yeah, exactly. Jojo says only the best people are in this chat. That's right. Everybody in this chat is above average, Jojo. I mean, the Frankie fam is some of the best fam out there. But I mean, I think now I don't know how many of you people read books. Okay. I personally happen to enjoy reading books. Now I know that's a scary thing to say in a football podcast. Okay. I understand. I'm leaving myself open to criticism. I'm saying I enjoy reading. All right, I get it. I get it. You stop throwing the tomatoes. I get it. But if you happen to be a weirdo like me who enjoys reading a book every now and again, you might want to read something called Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, Manufacturing Consent. Once you read that book, your entire frame of reference, frame of mind, world view toward the media changes, and you know who the enemy is. The enemy is the mainstream media. They want to control your mind. And why would you give them control of your mind? Don't do it. Don't do it. Uh, if I won the lotto, the first thing I would buy is a golf cart. Why? Just so you could drive it around your house? I mean, driving a golf cart around your house seems dangerous, Jeremy. Don't do that. I mean, do you have land where you could drive it on? I mean, Todd has land. You know, Todd the farmer, he's got land. He could drive a golf cart all day. Probably has a gator, not a golf cart. But if you want a golf cart, you can't drive it around your house. What are you going to do? Drive it around the attic? That's no good. You're going to get cataracts all over again, chaos. That's how you get cataracts. Golf carting around your house and eating too much hot sauce. That's what Dr. Frankie says. Jojo, it's a loss amongst football fans, Jojo. It certainly is. But I got to tell you, one of the big advantages in life is actually reading. Since so few people do it, if you want to have an advantage over others, read. Read. Reading's a superpower. If you don't like reading, go for audiobooks. What do you think I do with this microphone over here? Did you guys know you could get an app on your phone? I assume everybody here has a cell phone, right? And you know how apps work? You could get an app called Libby, Libby, and it hooks up to your local library. Okay? It's like going to the library, but you never leave your house. And you can check things out of this app. And then they stop working after a certain period of time as if you're, returning them to the library. And you get them for free, and the library pays for them. So if you don't want to do books, you could do audiobooks for free from Libby, Libby. It's beautiful. And they have ebooks. If you want to read ebooks, they got audiobooks. I think they have movies too. Check it out. It's amazing. Uh, so if you don't want to read and you say, hey, who's got time to read these days, anyways? Well, you're working out, you're taking out the garbage, you're walking around. Stick your headphones in and listen to a book and learn something. Yeah, it's your knowledge. Knowledge is power. Yeah, and if you're the one with the knowledge, you're the one with the power. It's like Mark Twain said, there's no difference between the man who can't read and the man who doesn't read. Jeremy says, do you ever read The Alchemist? Yeah, I read it. Great book. It's a little woo woo for me, but I like the main sentiments in it. That's Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho, for those who don't know. I assume that's there's other books called The Alchemist. I assume you're talking about Paulo Coelho. Um, so Jojo says, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, so like that way, people, because that's the excuses people have. I don't have time. I don't have money. Well, if you do audiobooks from Libby, you could do net time, what Tony Robbins calls net time, no extra time, NET, because you're listening to the audiobook while you're doing something else, like working out, like, walking around, things, walking your dog, whatever you got to do. Stick some headphones, and now you still got to do that other thing, but now you're listening to the book, and Libby makes it free for you. So perfect. Where's the bell? Karate says. Can you hear the bell? So I had to configure different. When we started this live broadcast, we started talking about some of the audio stuff, and I have this thing here. So I'm going to have a different, little bit different of an audio setup. So I had to uh, do some testing and things of that nature, and so I had to take things out, put them back, and now that we're on Restream and we did all that reconfiguration, I don't think you can hear the bell. I'm ringing it now. Can you hear the bell? But hopefully in the future we'll get it, because sometimes I don't know. Restream is kind of weird how it works. Phil Adams went to the secondhand bookstore. Oh, secondhand bookstores are my favorite. Man had 45,000 books. See, my problem would be buying too many. See, what happened with me, and maybe some of you didn't have this happen to you, and I'm sorry, but what happened to me was when I was little, me and my brother, we my the Brooklyn, I think it was the Brooklyn Public Library, maybe it was the New York Public Library Brooklyn edition or whatever. But they had this thing called reading is fundamental. Do some of you remember that? Reading is fundamental, and it was like fundamental, right? And it was like this campaign they had. And so my mom got wind of this, and she took us to the library. And we had never been to a library. We didn't exactly know what it was. We were little kids. Now, in my family, the favorite word of my parents was no. Can we have this? No. Can we get this? No. It was always no. We could not afford anything. We weren't very wealthy. So it was always no. We can never have it. Or if you could have it, you could have like one or a half or. So, so she takes us to the library for this event, the reading is fundamental thing. And we go, all right, well, what's so great about this? She goes, well, you can pick stuff out. And we go, how many can we have? Like one, and she goes, no, you can have as many as you want. We were like, wait a minute. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Me and my little brother. She's like, yeah, you get to pick out as many books as you want, and we're like, what's the condition? She's like, the only condition is you got to read them in a certain amount of time. Then we got to bring them back here. But you can get as many as you want. So we went hog wild. We were so happy just to be able to get anything, in multiple amounts. So we went hog wild. We got all these books and filled up our backpacks, and we're walking home like with our backpacks full of books. And and then there was a time limit, so we had to read them. Otherwise, we had to give them back without having read them. So that was it for me. I was hooked right then. But that was my circumstances where it was like the first thing that she ever said yes to. we had, and so it just got associated in my mind with probably a huge joyous event. You know what I mean? So hey, man, libraries always got a place in my heart. Bookstores are a rarer breed. Mhm. Joe Mike says reading is fundamental, but thinking is overrated. Nah. Let's hope our dumb owner has moved past that, Joe. Can we please? I drive my golf cart around my neighborhood daily. Yeah, but I mean, are people yelling at you, Jet 41, or you know, are they like pointing at you and saying things behind your back, or what's going on here? We need to know the details. Why are you riding around in a golf cart? Are people mad at you because they're trying to get to work and you're in their way? Like I'm in my car, I'm in my BMW or whatever I got, and you're putting around with a golf cart, and I gotta avoid you. I'm trying to get to work. I got stuff to do. I got clients to take care of. There's very important things happening at work. I can't be sitting around here maneuvering around a golf cart when I'm trying to get to work. What about that? Riff. Yeah, reading is fundamental. So you remember karate? Karate? Yeah, man. So it was that started my love affair, and that's a secret that's like a superpower now because nobody reads. If you read, you have an advantage. It's like so many times in my life did I get an advantage because I my default state was, "Oh, I better read this." And I actually read the thing, whatever the thing was, and therefore I knew better than anybody else about this, and then I got ahead because I read it. It's like so simple. Maybe you should prepare and read. Oh, what? I was busy watching television. Well, then that's why you lost. Jeremy says, I miss vinyl record store. There was a classic place in Brooklyn, and I am forgetting the name. Well, I don't really remember vinyl record stores that much. Of course, I was in Kings Plaza all the time, and I'm sure they had record stores there. Like I remember getting, what was that song by Flock of Eagles or something? Flock of Seagulls, Broken Wing or something like. I think that was the first record I ever bought, and I'm pretty sure I bought it at Kings Plaza. I must have because I spent a lot of time in that place too. Boy, oh boy. Uh, but then we had Tower Records. So then Tower Records came around, and that was cool. And then uh, this was after the Flatbush Flyers. Then I created my own literary uh, magazine and got it distributed by every Tower Records on Earth, which was a lot of them. And that was fun. But again, comes back to reading is fundamental. Jojo says, I agree with Frankie. Golf carts are annoying. Yeah, you're trying to get to work. You got important things to do. And here comes Jed 41 putting around with his golf cart, swinging it around. Hey, everybody, look out for me. And, it's like you don't know if he's drunk. You don't know if he went to sleep last night. He could be on Ambien. You don't know what's going on. He could be driving into garbage cans. He could be running over people's pets. You have no idea what's happening. And you got to sit there and figure out this is my neighbor. What's going on here? I thought this was a good neighborhood. But no, we got Jet 41 jetting around on a golf cart first thing in the morning. Look at me. I've got my New York Times in a golf cart. What the hell? You know? Keep it on the porch, buddy. Tony Alexio. Sam Goodies. Oh, yeah, Sam Goodies. I remember that. Sam Goodies. US 7-inch vinyl. Back in the 70s, lads in the UK, that's the United Kingdom, everybody. I still say everybody's got to rise up and get away from England. Sam Goody in the plaza. That's probably what it was. Oh, yeah, in London for sure. Well, my work, but it was a literary magazine, so I was the publisher and editor in chief, but it was short stories by lots of people, including I forget his name now. But like my favorite people were Jeff Summers, Ann Sturzinger, Nick Mamatas, um, Jim Monroe, um, a few others. I had a few others that were my faves that I would publish all the time. Jojo says golf carts are a safety hazard. Yeah, I agree. I'm not too up with this driving around on golf carts business. You guys want to hear Mike Vrabel go off on the media? Mike Vrabel, he a good coach? Let's see if we can make this work. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Can I get the sound to work? That's what we're talking about. Tell me if you guys can hear this. Share system audio. This is going to be from Marcellus Wiley's podcast here. Let's see if you guys can hear this.
You were in a coma when I answered Tom's question, or typing on your phone or tweeting. I don't know, but I spent 5 minutes answering that question, and I can go back through it, but I'd rather not. We won't know. We
But did you guys hear that? Let me know if you heard it. But it's, I think this is more and more of a trend. We've seen it with Mike Vrabel. You saw it with Aaron Glenn today. I think you're going to see more and more coaches acting this way, and I kind of think it's good. And we'll see how it works out. But here's Rick, here's Dick Chimney. Let's see what Dick Chimney wrote about today's practice. Dick Chimney, some quick hitters from Jets practice. Tight end Mason Taylor looks like he belongs. That's important. And you heard AG talking about his blocking today. So Todd heard it. Okay, good. So you guys know it's not just me making it up, and it's not just the Jets. And you heard AG talking about Mason Taylor's blocking. Here's the video. Also, I was going to make. Maybe I'll make a video about this. Uh, how do you get how do you get a lot of receiving yards as a tight end? Like we would all like to see the tight end. We complain about we haven't had a tight end since Mickey Shula and all this. How does one go about getting a lot of yards as a tight end? How? Tony Alexio sounds like baby Belichick. Yeah, some people will always criticize the person criticizing the media. That's something I've found. They do it with me too. Uh, so there's always going to be some small percentage of people who, if you hit back at the media, then they call you a baby or they call you too sensitive or something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. Some people feel that way. I personally think, I mean, because the context of that was the guy asked the same exact question as the other guy. You know, one guy asked him a question about something, and then like two or three questions later, another guy asked him the same question. So should he not call that out? He said, "I don't know if you were in a coma when I just answered that 5 seconds ago," and then he went blah 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 blah. I mean, I don't think that's irresponsible. I don't think that's being a baby. I think that's calling out a media person for being bad at their job. And I think it's appropriate personally. But I understand some people, especially if it's the Patriots, right? There's a lot of people who are Jet fans who, of course, hate the Patriots and hate the Bills and hate the Dolphins. I don't hate those teams. And I consume their content because I want to know what our enemies are doing. But again, I don't really hate those teams unless they're, like Mac Jones. I hate him. You know, he kicks guys in the dick. That's someone I'm not going to like. You know, but other than that, and I'm not going to like it when the other team's beating us, of course. But but other than that, I don't have this kind of hatred. I just wish we were better and could beat them. Taylor. Oh, so JoJo says Taylor. So you guys aren't answering. How does a tight end get a lot of yards receiving in a season? How does he do that? How is it possible? How could he make it happen? That's the question. That's what I want to know. I'm not seeing any comments. Chat has gone dead. uh, well, my controversial theory, one way is by being good at blocking. Block somebody, football company. Why? Why is it that blocking well could help you get a lot of yards receiving? I don't understand. Those seem to be two different things. Well, if you block really well, then the team has really no reason to pull you off the field, you see. The best tight ends are always on the field. George Kittle hardly ever comes off. I mean, he does because he gets tired and stuff like that. But You never really have to take George Kittle, for example, off the field for any schematic reason. So he's always on the field, so he's always involved, and therefore he could always catch a pass if it's a pass play. So being a good blocker helps you accumulate reception yards because you're on the field more. You get more snaps, you see. And so here's Chimney saying Mason Taylor looks like he belongs. And you have AG saying, yeah, he made a nice catch. But more importantly, was the blocking. And he's been impressed overall with Mason Taylor's blocking. Surprisingly so. They thought he could be good at it, but they didn't think he'd be this good this early, is what he said. Now we got to, coaches say things, but if he actually can block, boy, oh boy, do we got something. Because at the very least, that's a skill set in and of itself. We know what he could do reception wise. So this could be very good. So something to keep our eye on. If it actually manifests and is true and isn't just coach speak, you know, then it could be very, very good for Mr. Mason Taylor and for the team in general. So then he says Andre Cisco continues to make splash plays. So that's good news. My question is, who's the other safety? Jets Chaos is still here. Jeremy, who's our strong safety this year? Quick, quick like a bunny. Jeremy, because I've asked my regulars this question already in the Sunday live stream. Jeremy, if you're still here, who's the strong safety for the Jets this year? Jeremy Chaos Cravats Key. Uh, I'd like to know. But it's good to know that Cisco is making splash plays. At least we maybe have one good safety here. And if he is really good, then maybe we need to extend Andre Cisco as well. Remember, he's only here in a 1 year deal. But if he proves out that, he's a part of the future, hey, you know, probably get him at a nice cheap rate. So other things that Chimini says, some good inside running from Brees Hall in the red zone, so that's good. But we all know Brees can do that. Passing attack is all Garrett Wilson from a wide receiver perspective, according to Chimney. No one else stepping up. I heard some good things about Jamal Pritchett. I heard some good things. Malachi Corley caught a touchdown today, I think it was, although he had some drops earlier. But he says it's all about Garrett Wilson. So. We'll have to see about that one. Chimney says after struggling the first 2 days, quarterback Brady Cook showed some moxie. Moxie. Oh, how would Chimney know about moxie? I don't know. Showed some moxie in the red zone. All right. Armand Membu versus Will McDonald, a fun battle to watch. Membu can't afford a slow start. TJ Watt lurking in week 1. Well, he can afford it. But hopefully see, but that's why we can't. That's why our defense is important. You really don't want this kind of an offense that we're going to be running to be down 2 scores or something early, where we got to pass a lot. You really want to be able to hold the other team down while we ground and pound it. It's hard to ground and pound when you're down 14, 17 points. So that's the argument I would make about getting a Zadarius Smith or a Jadeveon Clowney on a 1 year deal, because you're really going to let the defense be bad. Now, on the other hand, Glenn and Wilkes know what they're doing, so I got to give them some space. But High Karate says Stevens, no, no karate, no karate. Stevens is our right cornerback. So the cornerbacks are Brandon Stevens is the right cornerback. The left cornerback is Sauce Gardner, and the nickel cornerback is Michael Carter. Um, then your backups are going to be Az Thomas and Stiggers. And I believe that I don't know. I believe that Malachi Moore will be a backup safety who's also our big nickel. So our third safety when we want a big nickel in to replace Michael Carter. That's what I believe. I don't know that. But as far as I know, The strong safety then is Andre Cisco because the only other, I mean, who else is going to start? If you start Tony Adams next to Cisco, Adams can't be the strong safety. He's not big enough. Andre Cisco is barely big enough. But if you have Cisco and Adams, it has to be Cisco to be down in the box more, even though they'll both be up high sometimes too. Tony Alexio, the Stevens contract should have been the Cisco contract. No, you could get Cisco for much cheaper. Safeties go for less than cornerbacks. So if you wanted Cisco right now and you wanted to sign him to a 2-year deal for 16, he'd probably take that. 8 per. That's a good deal for Cisco for the next 2 years. He would take that probably if you wanted him. I mean, you probably get him. You, meh, 14, 15, 60. He would take that. Remember, he's up to 10. He's guaranteed, I think, 5, if I'm remembering right. But if you offered, but safeties go for much less than corners. Corners are more valuable in the NFL in general. Jojo says ROTs will have their hands full with the Steelers front seven. Yeah, well, everybody does. I mean, you got T.J. Watt, you got Cam Hayward, you got Derek Harmon, you got Alex Highsmith. It's the Steelers' defense. What do you think? It's going to be easy? I mean, their team overall is not great, but I mean, it could be better than we think. They did go after a bunch of people, um, made some trades, and so it'll be interesting to see how that team comes together. But their defense is going to be good. And when is their defense not good? So all the more reason why we need to hold their offense down, so our offense can sort of just like ground and pound it. Because you definitely don't want to be 7-step dropping against T.J. Watt and the boys and Alex Highsmith. Highsmith is excellent also. Nobody ever mentions him. He's excellent. And they got Derek Harmon. He's expected to be good. Cam Hayward's excellent. So yeah, who's their linebacker? They got Patrick Queen. Uh, who's their other linebacker? I don't know. But don't forget their cornerbacks are now Darius Slay, and we'll have to see if his this is Darius Slay's last year. We'll have to see if his play goes down any, but he's normally very good. Then you have Joey Porter Jr., and now they have Jalen Ramsey, who's also very good. So their corners are good. Their safeties, probably more of a weakness since they traded away Minka. And their linebackers, they at least have Patrick Queen. I don't know who their other linebacker is. Might be a bit of a uh, concern. I mean, obviously, Alex Highsmith is technically a linebacker, but he rushes the passer a lot. Night, Jersey Jet. You said it. So that's what Semani's talking about. Okay, some breaking news. Well, an hour ago, since we've been on the air. Just in, Shamar Stewart and the Cincinnati Bengals reached an agreement on a 4-year, fully guaranteed. Well, it should be. He's a first rounder. $18.97 million contract that includes $10.4 million signing bonus. Early 2025 first round pick now has a deal. So this is Shamar Stewart who is holding out, not over the numbers that are suggested here by Adam Schefter, but over some contract language. So I would suspect that the Bengals caved on the language, uh, but we would have to see subsequent reporting on that. Do Shamar's here? He has agreed the agreement. We don't have any other information about it. So they signed him. That's the important part. He's getting in here. Stewart agreed to Cincy's new language. But the Bengals moved 500,000 of Stewart's signing bonus up and paid up front rather than paid in December. So the player caved. That's interesting. The union will not be happy about that. So the player caved since he has new language, which means if something bad happens to him, then they can void the contract. So the union will not be happy with that. But for doing that, he got $500,000 now rather than in December. So, hey, for doing this, he got paid $500,000 now rather than in 4 months. Uh, I don't know about that. The union, I mean, it's not a big deal. They get their player in, he's going to have a career. So, now, so that's, so that'll be, so they got him. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their other pass rusher now, uh, Hendrickson. Get if they come to a contract agreement with Hendrickson, now maybe the Bengals, their defense is still a little questionable, but maybe they could, make a move in the AFC, be that fourth team. Tony Alexio, yeah, well, we'd have to have somebody who actually is worth it. So I'm hoping that Adrian Martinez could develop into a backup at least, and then put him on the 53 man, and he's the emergency quarterback. But ultimately, that doesn't really matter because this year is, for the evaluation of Justin Fields. So if Fields is injured, it's like, now what are we evaluating? Tyrod? Yeah, the NFLPA is in bad, bad shape right now. And I mentioned it to you guys on the Sunday show that I was thinking about doing a story about Lloyd Howell, and then all the news started breaking, and then it was like, this story's all over the place now. Um, and what's interesting is they really need to. Now, this particular case, the union won't be happy that the player blinked, but it's not a huge deal at all. But they do need some leadership. And the biggest story is going to be, who the heck do they hire to be the executive director? And it can't be some shady dude. You got to get a heavy hitter here. And the reason it matters to us is because there's things that we as fans want. We all want to see, well, most of us, some don't, want to see all grass fields. We want to see more bye weeks. We want to see, certain things. And the only way those things are going to happen is if the union bargains for them. And so you need a strong collective bargainer. And so we'll have to see who they choose. Hopefully, they do a process that is normal. Part of the problem before was that J.C. Treader and the leadership did a shady process to get this guy in, and they didn't reveal all this stuff about him, and they didn't reveal the straw poll of the executive committee. You have an executive committee in order to advise the wider group, and they took a straw poll of the executive committee. It was 10-1 against Lloyd Howell and for, I guess, somebody else, one of the other candidates. Problem? J.C. Treader didn't tell the wider group that the executive committee had this straw poll done, and they voted 10-1 against because he wanted Howell in. And if he told the wider group, the 32 player reps who had to vote on this, that the executive committee said 10-1 against, they wouldn't have voted for him. And he wanted him in. That's shady as hell. That's why J.C. Treader had to go. You can't be shady, J.C. Sorry. Not in a leadership position, not in the modern day. Everything's going to come to light nowadays. With all of the media we have access to and everything else, everything's going to, come out. So if you think you're going to hide behind some closed door in some shady, smoke-filled room, you can forget it. So he tried to pull one over, and all exploded in his face. Um, so hopefully it's an opportunity to recalibrate and get some heavy hitters in there who know what the hell they're doing and who can battle against these, owners who are some of the sharpest business people on earth, of course. So Phil Adams says Mark Murphy. So Mark Murphy has come up because somebody suggested it to Florio, who's been covering this story more than just about anybody. And Mark Murphy's interesting because he was the president of the Green Bay Packers Incorporated, which doesn't have an owner, of course, is owned by me and 700,000 other people, um, or 70,000 other people. I don't know. Well, there's a lot of us who own the Packers. So he's been in the room. He's been in the 32 owner boy club room when they make these decisions and considerations about the players. And somebody said he's a former player. I wanted to look that up. Mark G. Murphy. Let's look up his biography. Oh yeah, he was American football player and team executive. So he's very interesting guy. Problem is, place of birth, Fulton, New York. Interesting. Let's go to Wikipedia. So he is 70 years old. So I would say that's the problem. The man is 70 years old, has had a great career, especially as an executive with the Packers. Um, I'm not sure he would want to do it. He would be perfect, at least in an interim. If they wanted to hire an interim for a year or two, I guess that could work, and then have him um, sort of steward in the next. I would approach him for sure. I would approach him for sure. And then maybe he stewards in the next executive director and he sticks around as like an advisor or assistant or some other position like that. I guess he was a defensive back. He had 27 interceptions in his career in 109 games played. He was a Super Bowl champion, one-time first team All-Pro in 1983 and Pro Bowl, NFL interceptions leader so he had one great year in 1983. He played for the Redskins when they were called the Redskins, and won a Super Bowl as a player and won one Super Bowl as an executive. So this is an interesting dude for sure. Oh, and plus, I didn't know this. This is actually the perfect dude. After retiring from the NFL, this says he was hired by the NFLPA in 1985 as an assistant executive director. So he already worked for the union one time. During his 3 years, he worked for 3 years for them already. This is the perfect guy. He's a lawyer also. Wait, is he a lawyer or just worked for a law firm? He was then hired as a trial attorney. Oh yeah, he's an attorney as well. What an interesting dude. So yeah, this would be a perfect guy if he would do it at least as an interim, and then let him guide the process for finding the permanent guy, and then take a back seat. So I would do it. Seems like a good guy to approach, Phil. And you could do a lot worse, I'll tell you that much. So we'll have to see. Jersey Jet, I think Amart will end up being a keeper. Well, let's hope so, Jersey Jet. Um, so I guess we'll call it an evening. Thanks for joining on this spontaneous live stream on this Friday night. Um, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel or give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And with that being said, I'll see you